Good morning, everyone. It's Chris from Clearly Crafted. I'm back with some more fabric tips. I'll keep calling it tips because they're not rules, they're what I do. So I just started cutting out some of these, and I just wanted to share how I'm doing it just because it's cutting so nicely. I wanted to show you. So what I did was, I told you I like to use my glass rounds, especially for fabric. I feel like I don't get the edge. For the napkin decoupage, I like more of the bubble type ornament. But so what I did with this really cool vintage fabric, this is a really neat fabric. Sometimes I wish I did sew because this would be a fun pair of pants. And yes, I would wear them. I'm a bit of a goofball that way. So what I did was, this is the corner. I only treated the one corner. I don't tend to treat the whole piece of fabric. I think it just makes it too stiff, and then if I'm going to store it, I think it creases it. So what I'll do is I'll just take pieces of it and treat it, and then just kind of fold it up and put it away. I have all kinds of pieces that are that way right now. But what I did was, I'm going to flip it over to the opposite side. So I'm looking at the back, and I can still see through. That's one thing that's great about fabric, is you can still see the design, just like our napkins. So what I did was, I first looked at it from the front side, and I kind of was taking my glass round. Now this is my glass coaster round. These are my favorite for fabric. And I'm looking at how, what would I want to see on that? So I went around and made some choices. And then what I did was I flipped it over, and I then went and I traced out circles, or the shape. I lost my pencil in the meantime. So what I did was I then traced out 4 circles, because I'm just going to start out with 4, and we'll see how it works. I'm not going to go through and, make 30 rounds and then this fabric doesn't go down well. That's how you frustrate yourself. So a couple pieces, let's see, and then I'm going to move on to something else. I may come back to it, but you can see where I just traced out my circles on here. Okay. Traced. And then you just come back with your scissors. So the one piece of this, I am using a wooden oval because I really like the way that one piece looked. But I just want to show you how nice the fabric cuts once you have it treated. It makes it almost like cutting paper. It doesn't fray. It holds the cut line very nicely. And it just cuts like nobody's business. Now I'll cut that off. So that's the side, and then there is my line, and the line shows up really nicely. I just use pencil, and I'm just going to continue cutting around, and you can even hear how nicely that's cutting. So there's a cute little design, and that will end up going right on my round. And that's the same with this one, this fun one. You can see how it looks from the front, and I just want the piece of it. And your circles don't have to be perfect, because you can paint around the edge of these ornaments. You can put some glitter, and it's funny because this one side I didn't take out my Mod Podge as well, so it's not cutting as well. And you can see, look, see that where it frayed right there? Look at the difference. So this side is cut, was treated. Now this very edge, I didn't get the Mod Podge out far enough, and you can look and see where that already has a few little frays. So the difference, pre-treating your fabric, really makes a difference. I think it just saves you some headaches in the end, but that won't change the end piece. Now I can either take and do, and you see how cute that is, that's on that glass round. So I can either do them front and back on here, which will be fine, and then I can just do an edge, paint the edge, go around the edge, whatever I want to do. You can do string, you can do cording, anything you want on there. I tend to, you know, I'm a paint person, so I tend to go with paint and glue. Or you could just do one side and put some kind of decorative paper on the back, and then you are only using one of your rounds. So that's just cutting out this fabric. It's so nice to cut. And I just wanted to share that with you this morning. I'm getting ready to cut my witch out here. She was my favorite out of the whole thing of fabric. So I'm hoping that comes out. And you can save your little fabric scraps or get rid of them. You could do a little collage piece where you build up the background of a piece with using different fabrics and get it as the base. And just like paper, fabric, you know, goes down, it glues down, and it can become a solid base. I have a neat piece of fabric that I had that is just very plain. Yep, there's my witch. How cool is she? And she's going to be so cute, and she'll get her own ornament. I love that. One of them will be mine. But what I was talking about with using some fabrics just as background, this fabric is just very plain. So I'm actually going to decoupage on top of this. So this I put down on the tile. It'll get probably at least 2 more coats because fabric does get, you know, rough. So that's the biggest thing with fabric. When you put it down, it actually almost has a sandpaper feel. So you have to treat it. You do a couple coats of Mod Podge, sand it down. Sometimes when you iron over it, it gets smooth too. So you can do that. But I'm going to take and I'm going to decoupage. I think this would be pretty with like a pumpkin, like a rustic pumpkin scene on it for fall. And then that you have that decorative background. Said it almost looked like, you know, it's the wood or a crackle background, and it's not. It's a piece of fabric that's just glued down to that piece of tile. But you have lots and lots of options when you start adding other mediums in with, you know, your decoupage. So right now I just cut out three of my ovals, and look, you can see they, you know, are not flimsy. They'll go down well, and the colors with fabric, you know, you don't lose that color where sometimes with napkin, even with rice paper, with some of them, as soon as you start putting down the glues and stuff, it has a more muted appearance. You don't get that with fabric. Fabric stays bright and the colors, you know, really stay. So that's it. All right. Have a great day. Keep crafting.